Hello everybody, and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well, and today I'm coming with a second late night video because just about, I guess, a couple hours ago at this point now, maybe about a little over an hour ago, HBO Max and Roku officially announced that they have finally found a deal, and HBO Max will be available on Roku starting tomorrow. That's December 17th. I'm assuming it'll be sometime in the middle of the night that this app will finally be available for users on Roku if you already have the service or if you've been holding off on getting the service because you've been waiting for it to have access on Roku. As it says here from Ars Technica, which as you can see is NewsGuard certified, as the great Tim Pool usually says, it will add over 100 million potential users, and obviously HBO Max has really been stupid, in my honest opinion, about really dragging its feet with Roku. And obviously there was a contractual problem going on there. Apparently, one of the parts of this specific deal is that Roku will no longer be able to basically sell as one of its premium channels HBO, which means it won't be able to get a cut of selling that channel. This is very similar to what HBO Max did with iOS, also what they recently did with Amazon Fire as well. And obviously these are all coming down to people trying to make the most money they possibly can, squeeze every nickel and dime they possibly can out of it. And so finally they've been able to figure this thing out. Obviously Roku felt that it had a good position to hold off because, as you see, right, it has 100 million potential users, and obviously both were seeing it as a financial loss for either company. In my opinion, I feel like it was actually a worse deal off for HBO Max having to wait off because they were trying to get as many users as they could, and their service has not, as far as users been concerned, been doing nearly as well. It's why they've had to pay their actors and directors to try and hype it up, and also why you've had other people start to call them out because of recent moves to put their entire platform of 2020 releases, rather 2021 releases on their service the same day it gets released in theaters for a solid month. And obviously a lot of people who've been kind of hoping for getting a lot of residuals from initial release in theaters are looking at that saying, are you trying to skimp us out on some money here? Because I don't know if the contract deal actually takes into account subscription fees that come in, because I've mentioned this before in other videos. Subscription fees you cannot actually designate as to what films are being watched, or rather specifically why people are getting the subscription. Is it because they're trying to watch one specific film? Is it because they're trying to get access to a slate of films? Is it because, in this case, that they just have access to Roku? Either way, it's something that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how the money actually pans out and who gets the vast majority of the money. I'm assuming Warner Brothers is going to get the vast majority of that money since it is a subscription fee and they shouldn't have to split that with anyone. However, obviously, this is going to tick off a lot of people. In fact, no people have been more ticked off than movie theaters. And so there's another bit of breaking news that happened earlier today. This is from the Daily Mail, which is typically not a site that I would use because it always just looks so clickbaity and just inauthentic. But it is actually NewsGuard certified. It's got a 77 out of 100. And it says here that the one problem that it has is gathering and presenting information responsibly. But it apparently does not repeatedly publish false content. So we can possibly trust this information. So as you can see here, it says movie theaters bite back. Cinemas are considering slashing Warner Brothers ticket prices so low that the studio would get nothing back after the company's decision to release its 2021 film slate on HBO Max. AMC and Cinemark theaters are reportedly considering dropping ticket prices for Warner Brothers films only so low that the studio would get almost nothing back. Sources claim that the drop could be between $3 and $5, with the theaters keeping between 75 to 80% of the revenue. The revelation comes just 2 weeks after Warner Brothers announced that it would be releasing its entire 2021 film slate on HBO Max. Films will stream on HBO Max at the same time the films play in the theaters. So, I will say this. Kudos to the theaters for playing hardball on this one, because obviously Warner Brothers, they did not give advance notice on this. They do not care about the movie theaters. They don't want the movie theaters to survive, which is really stupid in my opinion, because they need those theaters to still exist if they want any of their films to have any chance in 2021 and beyond at this point. And AMC themselves even said, we're going to run out of money in January if things don't turn around, if things don't start to change. Obviously, Disney, with its recent announcement of various shows on their Disney Plus streaming service, and the strong likelihood that a lot of their movies will be put onto their streaming service at the same time or around the same time as in theaters. And now, of course, HBO with HBO Max and Warner Brothers putting their entire already dedicating their entire 2021 slate to be on HBO Max at the same time, movie theaters were obviously in a very precarious position to say, okay, what the hell can we do? So basically what this is coming across as is that they are basically considering saying, all right, HBO, all right, Warner Brothers, if you want your movie, if you want Wonder Woman to be shown in theaters at the same time, all right, one, we get to get 75 to 80% of the revenue, and two, we're going to cut our prices so low that you get barely anything from that, so screw you. And obviously some people say, but the theaters are already struggling, so why would they do this? But then I would say that's the same argument you could use to justify it, saying they're already losing crap tons of money. This deal is already meant to screw them over, so why don't they just say, all right, we'll screw you over in the process, we'll make you hurt, and maybe, just maybe, it could be enough to sway you to try and, basically come back to the table and make some deals. I don't think Warner Brothers is going to take kindly to this. I don't think they're going to back down from it either, though, of course, that could potentially change, not because of this necessarily, but this added on to big mainstream directors like Christopher Nolan coming out, Denis Villeneuve coming out, other actors coming out as well, slamming them for this recent decision. Obviously, all because, mostly because they want their cut, because they get residuals normally from those movies being released in theaters, but it is interesting nonetheless. Let's go ahead and dive into this just a little bit. It says here, let's close that video. AMC Cinemark theaters are reportedly considering dropping ticket prices for any Warner Brothers titles so low the studio would get almost nothing back after the company announced earlier this month. In the most seismic shift by a Hollywood studio yet during the pandemic, Warner Brothers Pictures on December 3rd announced that its entire 2021 film slate, including the new Matrix film, Godzilla vs. Kong, and the Lin-Manuel Miranda adaptation of In the Heights, will stream on HBO Max at the same time it plays in theaters. Among the myriad release plan changes wrought by the pandemic, no studio has so fully embraced streaming as a lifeline. But after disappointing domestic ticket sales for Tenet, and with the majority of U.S. theaters currently closed, the AT&T owned Warner Brothers will turn to a hybrid distribution model next year. Films will debut simultaneously in theaters and on HBO Max in the United States. After 1 month, they will stop streaming and continue to play only in theaters. So basically the mindset is that, okay, if you want to go ahead and do this, you can, you can get very little on the first 2 weekends, which is when most people go to see the film. And then after the first month, guess what? You're still not going to get a lot of money in return on that investment. So we theaters could boost the ticket price, but at that time, normally in the contract, the studios are getting very little. And so basically, AMC and Cinemark are playing hardball here. And you know what? Kudos to them. You may not like them. You may not like the corporations behind them. But I will say, anytime that you have any other company that's going to go after another major company, if you've got two major corporations fighting each other, that's fine by me, to be perfectly honest. I'm not going to lie. The move has rattled Hollywood to the core and prompted mega theaters to bite back. AMC and Cinemark have said their new hybrid operations would force the company to consider carrying Warner Brothers films only on a title-by-title basis. Sources also told The Hollywood Reporter that the theaters are even considering slashing ticket prices to as low as $3 to $5 for any Warner Brothers title and want to keep 75 to 80%, which is just insane. That would mean that the studio would get nearly nothing back. AMC previously said that it would run out of money by the end of January 2021, and in December 11th filing with the SEC, the company partially blamed Warner Brothers, and I don't blame them at all for that. The move follows Warner Brothers' decision to put Wonder Woman 84 on HBO Max. Let's see if this says anything. Regal Cinemas, the country's second largest chain, has shut all of its doors, and obviously they have not actually announced anything as far as whether they would be willing to do this either. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Regal decides, hey, we're going to open up our theaters again since movies seem to be coming back out, and if we'll do something similar to this and play hardball. But movie theaters are in a very, very, very dire strait right now, and so it's just really cool to see movie theaters fighting back. But obviously, two big main stories. One is very good for HBO Max, good for Warner Brothers, because Roku again leaves now a huge potential. I know a lot of people who've been saying they've been interested in HBO Max, maybe giving it a try, maybe even flat out buying it. But if it's not on Roku, no thank you. Well, as of tomorrow, it will be officially on Roku. And so that's the good news. The bad news is movie theaters are fighting back, which personally I'm a big fan of. But anyway, what are your thoughts on these two stories? And speaking of Tenet, I finally was able to pick up Tenet on 4K. This just came in today. I pre-ordered this, and it was supposed to come in a couple days ago, or rather yesterday, and came in a day late, which upsets me. But anyway, Christopher Nolan's Tenet. I actually really enjoyed this film in theaters. I'll do a full 4K review of this once I actually get to watch all of it. I've been in the process of digitizing it. I'm really hoping that I can at least understand more of I actually understood 95% of the dialogue in theaters, but it definitely was difficult. I had to be hyper-focused to listen to it. So I'm definitely interested to give this another chance to see if it is able to hold up and maybe even be a little bit better audio-wise. But anyway, let me know your thoughts about this and anything I mentioned in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, hit that subscribe. It helps helps it a lot. If you're over on Rumble, make sure to smash the Rumble button. I think that's how it works. And I do apologize for those videos being a little later to process. Again, Rumble seems to be a good potential alternative, but has a lot of kinks to work out. Anyway, you guys are all amazing. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my December Patreon and Subscribe Star members, starting off with Patreon, Albertus Magnus, Andrew Hoyle, Animation Commentator, Brian P., Dion, Divex, Enrique Evangelista, Father Christopher Miller, Hail to you, Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Harold Francis, The Hunky Chunky Funky Monkey, Inflamed Wood, It's a Trap Productions, Jason Clark, Jacob Juice, Jay, Jeffrey Toon, Jonathan Carney, Kenneth Camille, Laura Story, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mike Jackson, Mr. Peabody and his evil twin with the beautiful hair, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Out of Step with Reality, Outpost Dyer, Riff Magos, Rosetta Allen, Steve Glasker, Miss Martin Muses, also known as Teresa Martin, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bogend, Tina B, and the Modern Major General, Laura Story. Gotta give you that shout out for that one time that you were doubled up. Thank you very much for being my Patreon members. And now a huge shout out to all of my December Subscribe Star members we have over there with Stand For, Perpetual Punster, Robert Revo, Mr. Roy, Glinzer, Darkstar 57, J. Alex McCarthy Jr., US 888209 Fast, Dean Heiss, J-Rod the Beer Guru, Nevadan G. Adams, and ZK Man. Thank you all so much for being my Patreon and Subscribe Star members. If you want your name shouted out at the end of every video and live stream on the main channel, please consider joining over on those platforms. You can also get access to things like exclusive giveaways of 4Ks, Blu-rays. If you want a DVD, I guess you could also get a DVD as well, digital codes, and of course, you get to possibly join me on the channel once a month for the Chosen of Valhalla live stream and access to an exclusive podcast featuring John the Flick Pick Flickinger, where we have a lot of fun talking about movies and tons of other random things. Anyway, if you want to support these things, check out the links in the description of this video. And also, please consider joining my other channel, the OMB Report, where I talk about not just movies like I do over here, but I focus more so on politics, news, and culture in that order. You guys are all amazing. Thank you for your love and support. Have a wonderful day. And as always, God bless.